Okay, now here is one delicious soup. It has rice, it has broccoli, there's carrots, celery, corn, onion, a little bit of garlic. This is really cheap to make. It is really good. It's a lot more healthy for you than a lot of soups. Now let me show you how we got here. So this is how I started this beautiful soup. What I have here, and I didn't show you me cutting all this up because you didn't need to see it, but there's some carrot, some celery, and I had that real nice tender green interior. I had some left over from another stalk of celery I'd purchased, and some carrot. And this is a base that I'm going to start with on this, and I'm going to add, I had this in the refrigerator too I need to use up, so I'm going to add a little bit of this garlic and oil, and I'm just going to add a little pepper. Now I'm not going to add any salt to this, and I'm going to tell you why in a little bit. Now, you know, as always, if you want to add salt, that's up to you. Now, I put a lot of pepper because I really like pepper, and I like a lot of pepper. So, this is the base of where we're going to start out making that really good soup. So, bear with me. Now, I never measure anything, so you'll just have to bear with me here. But I'm going to guess that I had a cup. I'm going to guess that I had a cup of vegetables in there, a cup and a half maybe, and then I added 1 cup of water. So now I'm going to slowly simmer this, and I'm going to take my time here today. If you're in a hurry, you could really speed this up and really boil it like crazy, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to bring it up to a boil, and then I'm going to turn down the heat a little bit, and I'm going to let that simmer in there so that that vegetable mixture can get all in this broth. So let's do that now. Let me boil that up. Okay, so I've boiled these vegetables down. You can see that cup of water is just about gone, and the vegetables are tender to my liking. So now I'm going to add what I'm going to call the secret ingredient. This is how I get to that really beautiful, delicious soup. This is chicken with white and wild rice. This is really a good soup. I bought this having not bought condensed soups in a long time. I've been eating that Campbell's Chunky soup or that Progresso soup that comes already made. And during this pandemic, a lot of the stuff I'm sure everybody's noticed has been out at the store. But they had this one day, and I thought, well, I'm going to give that a try. And it was really good. I went back and bought some more of it. And I'm going to add that. And I'm using filtered water, so I'm going to have to pour that up. This is just instructions on the can to add 1 more cup of water. I mean, not cup, but this can of water. So now, I'm going to put this back on the stove and bring this back up close to a boil. Okay, I've brought this to the point that is just about boiling, and now I'm going to throw in my other favorite. This is the last that I'm putting in here. This is a half I'm going to save one of those broccoli bunches you buy at the store. Something else about this soup is it's not very expensive. I think that broccoli was about $1.25 or $1.30. This is some of the stalk. Now, I don't throw this away. I peel off some of that bark, chop it up, and that goes in there too. So, the reason I'm doing this way is I'm going to bring this back up to a boil. Now, I wanted my carrots, celery, and onion to soften up a bit. But the broccoli, I don't like mushy broccoli. If you want to cook it longer than I do, go ahead, but I like my broccoli to still have a little bit of texture to it. So I'm going to go over there and bring this up to a boil, but then I'm going to turn it off because that's all I want to cook that broccoli. Okay, so here's the completed soup. Doesn't that look good? That broccoli is real good and green, isn't too mushy. I have taken and doubled the volume of that soup. And this is one thing I want to talk about. If you'll look on the back of these cans, when you buy prepared food at the store, I don't care if it's like Hungry Man dinners or cans of soup or beef stew, whatever you're buying that's produced at some factory somewhere, they just kill it with salt. Now, this says 34% of daily salt. Now, what a lot of people don't look at is the fact that it says there are 2.5 servings in this can. So that would mean 2.5 times that 34. I should have added that up. What's that going to be? It's going to be a good 80% of the salt intake for the day. So what I've done is I've taken that can of soup and easily doubled the volume. So I'm going to say that right now we're going to be down to 40% of the day's salt if we ate that whole thing. But, well, that's not correct. It still has the same amount of salt, but if you half that, then we're going to end up with about 40%. Now, I'm not going to say that that's healthy, but that's 50% more healthy than not cutting it down. So that's one reason for doing that. I'm going to explain another reason for this in the next clip. Okay, now let me tell you the other thing about this. I have always enjoyed cooking for myself. And when you do, if you follow most recipes that you'll find in a book or online or wherever, you're going to end up with a pot of this stuff. If you're like me, a single person, you're going to end up eating that all week. Or you're going to have to start freezing it. And living in an RV, I don't have that big of a freezer, and I don't want to freeze a bunch of stuff anyway. Once I've eaten it, I may make it again, but it's going to be a while down the road. So, if you're a single person, if you're in a situation of like being roommates and, you know, you just happen to be cooking for each other that night, which usually isn't the case, but sometimes. You know, if you're just a couple, empty nesters, your children are out of the house, you don't want to make up a giant pot of anything, then this is the way to do it. So I'm getting two good servings out of this one can of soup. And like I've said, this 2.5 servings, that's a joke they have in these cans. I've always eaten a whole can of soup when I pulled it out. You might get 2.5 servings out of it if you have a 1-year-old, a 2-year-old, and one in a high chair. You might get 2.5 servings out of that. But here we go. I've cut the salt. I have a real flavorful soup. It has a lot of different ingredients. It's twice as healthy as what it started out to be, and it's inexpensive. I figured out what I had in here. That can of soup was like $1.58. I think that broccoli was about $1.25. It was one of those bunches that you buy at the store. I didn't add that carrot, celery, and onion. Couldn't have been over 50 cents worth. So, you know, $3, here you go. Now, you can serve this to 2 people if you were really hungry in the evening. If you wanted to add a grilled cheese sandwich or a ham sandwich or something to that, you know, then go ahead. Serve yourself as much as you want. But that's just a really good way to do this. And I'm going to have a few more of these because I have some other stuff that I do. And I just want to share with that people.